days postpartum, and I feel like I'm finally at the point where I'm ready to share about my labor and delivery. Now, I will say, if you are currently pregnant and you have anxiety around labor, you just have anxiety kind of like around your whole pregnancy, this is probably not the video for you. I did not have a easy labor and delivery. I had somewhat of like a traumatic labor and delivery, and so I just want to kind of give that heads up that if you get anxiety easily and you're pregnant, I would just skip this video. I will say, through all of this, my husband and I have said that there were actual angels watching out for my son and myself, because everything that happened was just so insane. So I was originally supposed to get induced on May 31st. We did IVF in order to get pregnant, and so they wanted to induce me at 39 weeks. I went in for my 37-week appointment, which was on May 20th, and up until this point, everything was completely normal in my pregnancy. My blood pressure was actually somewhat better than it ever was pre-pregnancy. I didn't have gestational diabetes. Everything was very textbook, very straightforward. So I go in for my 37-week appointment, and they take my blood pressure, and it's high. It's 150 over, I think it was 150 over 95. And since this was so abnormal for me, the week before, my blood pressure was literally 118 over 80. So they were like, okay, we're gonna start the NST, and then halfway through it, we'll just come and take your blood pressure again. Maybe it was just a little elevated because you were walking back here and everything. So they come and they take my blood pressure again, and it's still high, and in fact, it's getting higher. And so my OB is like, hey, you just need to go to labor and delivery. You're 37 and a half weeks. This is very abnormal for you. And if your blood pressure stays this high, the safest thing for you and baby is for you to deliver him. So I leave that appointment, start bawling my eyes out because I was just so overwhelmed. And I call my husband. Thankfully, the hospital and the OB's office is all very close to our house. And so I call my husband and I'm like, I have to go to labor and delivery right now. And he was like, okay, I'll Uber there because I haven't showered, and I'll get our bags and everything. And I was like, okay, don't get all of them. I'm sure I'll just be there for a couple of readings and everything will be fine. I call my mom, ask her to pick up our dog from daycare, and I head to labor and delivery. I get to labor and delivery, and they do about 5 blood pressure readings during, I don't know, they did them every 10-15 minutes. And I'm consistently at 150 over 100, 165 over 100. So they actually start giving me medication to bring my blood pressure down, and they're like, you're being admitted, you're not leaving. So my husband shows up with our bags. I end up being in triage for a couple of hours as they were waiting for a room. They actually start me on a magnesium drip because my blood pressure was so high. Even with medication, it was really struggling to come down. The office that I go to has 4 doctors who you just kind of rotate through. And so the OB that I had the appointment with, he shows up at the hospital, and does a cervical check. I'm not dilated at all. Everything looks normal. They do an ultrasound, everything looks normal. And so they're like, okay, we're gonna get you back into a room and we're gonna start the induction essentially. So they start the induction at 4 p.m. I'm still on a magnesium drip, and I'm on meds. They give them to me every 4 hours starting at 4 p.m. and I did not really sleep at all. It's also important to note that I had this insane cough that I could not get rid of, and so I'm coughing, trying to labor essentially. Nothing's really happening. Around 8:30 the following morning, so 8:30 of May 21st, my new nurse comes in for the day shift, and she was actually my nurse from triage the day before, and I was so excited to see her because she was just so sweet. And she's like, okay, your doctor's here. It was a different doctor from the practice, but she was like, the doctor who's on call today in the hospital is here. She's gonna probably be in your room around 9 a.m. I'm gonna do a cervical check, and then she'll come in afterwards. So my husband and I knew pretty immediately that something was off with how she was trying not to react, but she did the cervical check and she goes, okay, I need to go get your doctor. I just realized how long this is, so I will go ahead and do a part 2.